So I do not wish this message sounds cryptic at all. I'm just trying to express this in the most honest and open way. There's certain things that Neville says that he constantly refers to this phrase that God revealed it in me. God revealed this in me. And when I used to listen to that, I thought to myself, like, why would God reveal himself to just some guy who was raised in Barbados? Like, what makes him more special than anyone born anywhere else, right? And I started to think in those terms with all these labels attached to him. And I never thought God would reveal himself to that. But then through his teachings and through my, just meditating on the things he speaks about, and I'm not a part of any religion or any kind of, or any organization, or I really don't follow any sacred text. But I do listen to Neville a lot, and I meditate on the things he says. And I've had my own experiences of feeling like things are being revealed. But what I saw was that it wasn't me, or wasn't consciousness revealing itself to Edward. It was myself revealing myself to myself. That's what I realized, that it has nothing to do with Edward, that Edward's a costume, it's a dream. And it doesn't even feel right to think I'm Edward in some sense, because we are the I am that comes before, the awareness of being. We're the awareness. And I'm going to try my best to describe this as Neville tried his best. And I want to stress, I've never had like a lot of the visions and stuff he's had. This is just for me and my own experience with it. Is that the most important thing that matters from his work is who you think you are while you imagine. You see, if I imagine as Edward can be a label attached to I am Edward. Edward, just as any label that we have, you can have labels of male and female, and those are defined by the time and society. And every time you think of male, you might have a certain concepts that come to your mind. It's like a box, and it's filled with all these concepts that were given to you about a male, a female, or a certain race. And you think a certain race, and all of a sudden you think about all these other concepts that come with it. And that's a veil in some sense. You can think of these attachments as veils to the I am. And it tricks itself into believing it's that, and then it experiences it. But it's not really an it, it's you. And when I say I am Edward is, that is not truly my real name anyways, by the way. It's just a name that was created off of Reddit. But Edward comes with all these ideas and a past that wasn't, to be quite frank, it was abusive. And I had a lot of negative self-concepts, and I struggled a lot in my life, and I did it alone. And I felt all these, I felt like I just wasn't worth anything. And I can take that image called Edward and imagine as if I'm Edward. And the issue with that arises, that I found within myself, is that when I imagine from that standpoint, it's very challenging for me to say yes to myself, because of the amount of, I guess you can say, brainwashing that was given to me, of thinking so low of myself that I started to believe I don't deserve something good happening to me. So then if I go to imagine as Edward, imagining something good happening to him, well, you can bet I'm going to have resistance, and I'm not going to feel good because I'm still thinking I'm Edward, and Edward comes with these issues. But if I see him the being behind Edward, that Edward is just a dream, and the way I see that is I start to imagine as God. And Neville consistently would say, know that it's God doing it, that it's you doing it. Because if I asked you, imagine a red boat right now, and a red boat came to your mind, or imagine hearing something and you heard it, I'd say, well, who's doing that? You would say, I am. So then it is God imagining, because God's name is I am. That's the way Neville would describe this. But it's not just, some type of theory or like a step-by-step. It's an actual like knowing. And Edward's a dream. And you start to know this when you start to imagine as if you're God imagining. And when you start to do that, you'll find I am is like a piece of clay, and you just kind of shape it and mold it, or you just attach things to it. And you don't feel like things are impossible if you imagine as if you're God. You don't feel that way. It's much easier to just say yes to yourself, because it's just yourself imagining for yourself. And then you imagine for others, because there really isn't another, because everyone's I am. And there's only one being here. And when you imagine these, as I wanted to talk about at the beginning, was that since I've taken upon all these negative self-concepts, I created a nightmare of a life through Edward, if in some sense. And this, like a nightmare, if you fall asleep tonight, if you have a nightmare, it's going to have to do with the I am, because that's the only being there is. It's the only really thing there is. And a nightmare is simply a holding on to a negative self-concept, because as Neville says, consciousness is reality, or God is consciousness, I am is consciousness, I am is reality. If that's true, if I am is your reality, and you attach upon it, I'm not enough, well then, and your reality becomes of you, simply people revealing to you that you're not enough, you bet that's a nightmare. And we create our own nightmares through the way we perceive and shape I am, ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I don't mean Edward. I mean like ourselves, the inner being, the I am. We are the I am, but there really isn't any we when you see it this way. And others who really come are just revealing to us what I ams we've taken, and what we are conscious of being. That's what I am means. It's what I'm present tensely conscious of being. But to change and to say yes, to accept all that's within you, to accept it without having to argue a reason for it. And you accept this with impotence, that Edward can't do it, that only the inner man can do it. And you accept the wonderful thoughts and feelings you desire, if you can do this effortlessly if you know you're God imagining. But if I go to Edward imagining, it's much more challenging. And it feels natural to imagine as if you're God. It feels pleasing. There's almost no resistance. I don't know why I would create that. The moment I see myself as imagining as God, I take responsibility. And this is the point that Neville was trying to get across. Now, he's had many experiences that I personally have not had. But I've had certain ones that have made me question reality, and to such a degree that I knew there was something deeper to this. And again, I'm not trying to talk cryptically, or I'm just trying to share this as honest as I can share it. I'm just speaking from my own experience. And I hope it comes off like I understood, because this is very freeing. I'm going to repeat this, is that it's who you are while you imagine. That's important. Who is imagining? Is it somebody who is, in this world of states, somebody who's, stupid, not enough, or all these things? Or is it, if you go deeper, is it God imagining? And this resistance will go away when you see that. Resistance for me only comes when I start to think in terms of this outer man, because the outer man has so many restrictions and so many limitations. And I don't change the body, I don't change the outer man, I don't change the outer life. I change the perception I hold of myself, of who is imagining. It's God imagining. So I imagine as if I'm God, and I change within. and I don't bother with the external. Because there's only one being here. And I hope this message resonates. And I hope it's not confusing at all. I truly hope it's not confusing. And yeah, and Neville said it, like, imagine this if you're God, but you don't have to be arrogant about it. Just do it. Just imagine this if you're God. You don't have to add anything else onto it. You're not more enlightened or better than the next person. That there isn't really no next person. The I am too, just playing that part. So yeah, I hope this message reaches you. Truly.